Welcome to Brand Lover, honest, real, and lively conversations for flourishing entrepreneurs and budding business owners on a mission to cultivate a heartfelt brand that connects with their purpose-driven mission. My hope is that you walk away feeling inspired and refreshed with a weekly takeaway in your back pocket that you can apply to your life or business. Rebranding, while often the thing holding you back from reaching the next level in your business, can be a very daunting process. And I know that I've talked about this before, but it's not just about changing your color palette or your logo design. It goes a lot deeper than that on a personal level as well. And there is a massive flow-on effect. There's the question of whether or not it's going to work for you, what you're going to receive back from your designer is something that you actually like or not. It's because rebranding is not really just a visual update. It's about evolving your brand to better align with your goals and resonate with your audience, leading you toward a better, bigger, and brighter future. But with change, always inevitably comes fear, and with fear comes aversion. I have worked with hundreds of businesses to establish, update, refresh, or overhaul their visual brands. So I have been around the block a few times. I've walked alongside my clients as they face the initial mental barriers towards rebranding and also the ones that come throughout the whole process and beyond. Over the past 20 years, I have become attuned to how the big changes associated with the branding or rebranding process impact both the business owner and the consumer. The more mentally prepared you are, the better equipped you'll be to anticipate the feelings and concerns associated with, one, the prospect of the rebrand, and two, navigating all the emotions during the rebrand process. So here's the thing. Humans are naturally wired to seek safety and stability. It's the very reason your children thrive on a predictable routine, then turn into little demons when their day is unexpectedly turned on its head. Change introduces an element of uncertainty, which is unsettling to us. This triggers fear, anxiety, and that general feeling that things just aren't quite right in the world. It doesn't matter what type of change it is, whether it's a good change or a bad change. This is simply a survival mechanism embedded into our DNA when unknowns often, in the past equated to potential threats like being eaten by a dinosaur, for example. So the familiar, even though it might not be ideal, in our brain is actually perceived as safer because it's predictable to us. So have you ever stopped to think about how insurance companies get away with exponentially increasing your bill year after year after year? It's because they know that you are complacent. You're too cozy to bother looking elsewhere. And they rely on this because they get how you're wired. They're relying on your better the devil you know mentality. And you could even be thinking that way about your existing brand. It's good enough. It's doing the job. But what I'm trying to say here is that the point that I'm trying to get across is that humans are creatures of habit. So we thrive on rhythms and routines because they provide us a sense of control and they reduce the cognitive load required for decision making, which makes our life easier. Change, any kind of change, including rebranding, disrupts these routines, forcing you well outside of your comfort zone. And this disruption can be stressful and uncomfortable, making people resistant to altering the reality that they've become accustomed to, including their good enough brand. So with all of this natural aversion to change, I want to explore with you today how that applies specifically to the prospect of rebranding. So from where I see it, there are three different facets of human aversion that apply to different components of the branding or rebranding process or phases of the rebranding process. Number one is aversion to rebranding itself. And I have many conversations with business owners about this. Things and barriers, perceived barriers that are holding them back from doing so. Number two is the aversion to the actual visual creative solutions provided by a brand designer, which is very interesting. And number three is consumer aversion to a newly rebranded business. So let's chat about these and work out how best to handle each of them or overcome them as a hurdle. All right, so number one, aversion to rebranding. So when considering a rebrand, you might be flooded with internal questions like, will I like it? Will my customers like it? What if I hate it? What if I break my business? What if it ends up being worth what I actually have? What if I do all that work and it doesn't even make a difference to my business? These concerns are completely natural. However, rebranding isn't just about personal preferences. We tend to sort of internalize things and make them all about what if me, what if me, what if me, 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 me. And so it's 100% crucial at this point to take a step back and to zoom out and look at the big picture with your big girl panties on, your business owner panties, okay, if there is such a thing. Ask yourself, is my existing brand capable of taking me where I want to go? And that should be a simple yes or no, black and white. So your brand should be a strategic tool that helps you achieve your business goals. Okay. It's not about whether or not you like it or or you're attached to it because, your cousin made it or created it or you picked it because your favorite color is orange. That should have nothing to do with it. And if the brand that you've been using, whether it's a DIY option or a Canva template logo, or maybe even you worked with a graphic designer before and it's, you're pivoting or going in a different direction. If it's no longer effective, it is likely that change is inevitable if you want to continue to progress. So my hot tip, if you are feeling this way towards the prospect of rebranding, is to assess your brand's current state and its potential to support your future vision. This objective kind of perspective will help mitigate your initial resistance to rebranding and rationalize the decision-making process when considering whether or not to dive in or not. All right, so number two is the aversion to the creative solutions or the logo design proofs, for example. When presented with new visual concepts, it's 100% completely normal to feel a little bit hesitant. You'll feel the butterflies when you see the email come through. You'll probably almost be squinting when you open up the file or are presented with the file from your designer. And it's a little bit nerve-wracking. And it's completely normal to not fall in love with it straight away. These are completely normal, if not expected, initial reactions that are just part of the process. What I'd recommend you do is to give yourself time to process and digest the proposed upgrades or brand renovations. And if you are working with a strategy-based designer, which I recommend you do, revisit the foundational work that you've done together or the brand strategy work that you've done and consider how the new visuals appeal to the emotional needs of your audience and how they present the impactful vibe or personality that you want your brand to be known for in the future and the message that you're wanting to be sending to your ideal clients. Keep in mind that effective design is more than just about aesthetics. It's not all art. It's part art and part science. It's about conveying the right message and connecting with your audience on that deeper level. So I encourage you to trust the process and allow time for the new designs to settle before giving feedback to your designer. All right, number 3 is a big one, and it's the potential for your audience's aversion to your changes to your brand. So this is something that you might not have considered. And especially if you're making changes that are designed to deliver a more clear, emotive message to your ideal clients. It's simply like if you do receive any pushback or negative comments, it's simply because change is unsettling. So people will naturally initially love it or hate it. So rest assured that personal likes or dislikes usually have absolutely nothing to do with how your brand should present itself in the marketplace. So again, if you do receive some pushback, just simply zoom out, trust the process, and know that your goal for rebranding should simply be to deliver a message and evoke feeling in your audience. The most effective way to decrease the risk of aversion from your audience in this way is to nurture them through the whole branding process. So introduce the rebrand strategically rather than seeking immediate approval with, do you like it? Do you like our new logo? Do you like our new colors? With that kind of approach. So you have the power as the business owner to present your brand in a way that is positive and not be sort of asking for approval for it. It's more about presenting the new look or the new personality in a way that you can rationalize it for them. So communicate the reasons behind the change and how it benefits them. Highlight the improvements and the enhanced value that this rebrand brings. And another little tip, which I think I mentioned in a couple of podcasts recently, is I did a podcast about how to launch your new rebrand. And that is to involve the audience in your journey. So share sneak peeks and behind the scenes, share as you sort of make decisions throughout the rebranding process. So what this does is it builds excitement and it builds anticipation, and it helps them to feel part of this transformation. It helps them to rest assured knowing that they value you, and that you value them, that they are valued, and they are still sort of part of your inner tribe, in your circle. So keep clear, consistent communication, and this will help to ease the transition and encourage them to accept the brand before it's officially launched. Now, of all people, I truly 100% understand that rebranding is a significant step that comes with its own set of challenges. By understanding your natural aversion to change and addressing it thoughtfully, you will hopefully now be able to navigate the process more effectively and make strategic decisions that will catapult your brand into the positive future that you desire. So keep that big picture in mind and allow time for new ideas to settle, and then strategically guide your audience through the transition as well. This approach will help you to create a brand that will not only reflect your future and your vision, the thing that your biggest heart's desire, but also resonate with your audience, paving the way for future growth. If you found this episode inspiring or helpful, I invite you to share the link with another woman in business or someone who needs to hear this message. Every woman we can support to grow a meaningful, profitable brand is another woman who is free to live a purposeful life for herself and be more present for her family. None of us are alone in the challenges we face in business, but the solution can start with a gift from someone else, and it could be a podcast episode just like this one. Thank you for listening.